my Bachelor of Arts in Administration of Justice with a minor in Psychology and a Criminology certificate from Rutgers University. And then I have a Master of Arts from John Jay College of Criminal Justice located in New York. And that's in Corrections Administration, focusing specifically on institutional corrections, so prisons and jails. And then I have a Doctorate of Philosophy in Criminal Justice and focusing specifically on children of incarcerated parents. One of the major things that I've noticed so far in the differences between historically white institutions and me teaching there and now teaching at a historically black institution is the way I talk about the issues. I remember, for example, teaching at Westchester University. I had a class, Intro to Criminal Justice was the class, and it was the majority of the students were privileged students. We had more males in the class as opposed to females, but we had a nice diversity among freshmen and seniors. That entire class was me proving that I belonged in front of the class. And so you find at some of the historically white institutions that your degrees aren't enough, that you kind of get challenged in the classroom setting. And so I would kind of get questions about particular dynamics that the book talked about and, the way I described them. It wasn't until maybe the end of the class that it kind of was like, wow, she's a specialist in this area. She knows what she's talking about. I find the complete opposite here at Howard University. Day one, I walk in the door, the students are just like, okay, you give your educational background, your experiences, and the research that you're doing, and you just take off. In the classes here, the students are alive, and it allows me to be alive. The students challenge me. They do challenge me, but the challenge is different at the historically black institution. It's respectful. I think African American individuals, including myself, it's very important to understand where you come from. A lot of people like to think that people change, over time, but your roots don't. Those things are constant, they are strong, and it's kind of like your anchor, as I see it, into the earth and into the land. I think one of the things with African Americans that I have found in my different teaching institutions and throughout doing research is a lack of that history. That they feel that they have an understanding of it, and that understanding is just defined as slavery. And so when you talk about, oh, well, do you know your history? Yeah, I know that we all were slaves. We all come from slaves. But it's a lot deeper than that. It gets into so much detail that I feel would be so empowering to not only the individual, but generations to come. That Howard is involved in the community in regards to uplifting the community through programs, evaluations, or any sort of outreach services or programs. Not so much. I think that the Howard University students, faculty, and staff can get more involved in what's going on in the community. I find that at a lot of institutions, it's that way. One of the good things I can say is that in speaking with the chair of our department, Dr. Young, we're actually now working on a way of incorporating community outreach strategies between the Department of Sociology and soon to be Criminology and the community. So one of the things we want to tackle is bullying. And so we're interested in going into the local middle schools and into the high schools and talking about bullying and providing strategies and frameworks for doing that. I know that they do have some student organizations that do work in the school arenas as well. I think that if we all kind of got together, the different schools, College of Arts and Sciences, Fine Arts, and the hospital actually really came together, that we could do a lot more. Looking at, one specific area. But again, that means in order to go out that you have to have the funding for that you have to be able to be bringing in some sort of outside funding in to implement those things, as well as your teaching load. A lot of the times when you're doing a lot of teaching, it takes away from your research and also your field, work. I know that in this department, I'm interested in bringing in the inside out model. And that's a model that connects to the outside world. And so basically what you do is you teach the same class that you would teach here at the institution in the community. And specifically for my classes, being criminological in nature, they would be taught in a correctional facility, or let's say in like a halfway house. And you would bring half Howard University students and half incarcerated students, or halfway house students, and you would teach that same class in the confines of that environment, which I think would be one of the ways of, kind of giving back. Here at Howard, I think that we need to get more into doing community work.
How do you, as a teacher, plan on making your mark on Howard University?
That's a good question. I feel like I've already done that so far. Like, I feel like to make my mark, what I decided to do was come in, hit the ground, and run. I've only been here for 3 months, but I've accomplished a lot. For one, I'm connecting dots. A lot of the times when individuals come into new places, they want to do things that are completely new. For me, it's not that I'm trying to reinvent the wheel, but I'm trying to connect the dots with things that connect to myself. So for example, my research focuses on children of incarcerated parents and parental reentry. So, to keep it simple, I'm interested in parents and I'm interested in their children and the dynamics that those play. So when I came to Howard University, I had a student that sat in on my class, and she has a daughter. She brought her daughter to, both of the classes. And speaking with her, I, kind of pulled her to the side and talked to her about, the dynamics of the institution, what problems she might have. What I was able to do was launch a student-parent organization called Mothers of the Mecca and Dads Academically Determined. So that stands for mom and it stands for dad. And what those organizations are going to do is work to provide support services for parents on campus. At a historically black institution, we know that single parenthood is one of the things that is a characteristic of our population. But there was not one student organization here at Howard to address those needs. And so I feel like I have made a small mark so far by creating and working with students and empowering them to create an organization for that. I've been in contact with Dean Heath over at Student and Special Services, and we were able to draft a sensitivity letter. So if you are a parenting mother or father, or a pregnant mother, you're able to give in a form to your professors to let them know and be aware of the sensitivities that you're dealing with. And that's by law. These things should be in place. We've also discussed having safe places that mothers can go to nurse their children. And so we're looking at places in Howard Hospital as well as 2 rooms here where students will be able to go and nurse their children when they're with them on campus. One thing that I'm really excited about is a grant that I worked on with a student who's going to be submitting actually tomorrow to get changing stations in the bathrooms. Any of the bathrooms in this entire university, none of them have changing stations. That means that if you are a mother and you bring your child in for whatever the event is or whatever that day is, you'll have to either change them on the dirty floor of the bathroom or in your lap. And so I think that in making my mark here, I'm doing things that I've done in other places and kind of just being myself. Not trying to do things extra or out of the ordinary, but utilizing my methodology and my research to tap into other things.
Hey guys, Kevin Thorne here. I hope you enjoyed the video. As we've seen in this video, Howard University has an engaged faculty that's working in the community. This video is designed as a wake-up call to get Howard University scholars engaged in serving their community. There are so many avenues in which we can help, and I know Howard University is up for the challenge. We hope you've seen through Dr. Muhammad how important serving your community is, especially being a Howard Scholar. We have the ability to do it, and it is our right to do it. So join the Howard Scholars that are engaged in serving their community.